Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. On today's how-to episode, we're going to show you how to remove the rear bumper to change the rear valance or lower diffuser on the back of your 6th gen Camaro. Now, this mod is purely cosmetic. It is the IKON Rear Diffuser that I picked up, and I just wanted to do a quick how-to video to show you how to do this. Now, full disclosure, I completely lost audio on my original recording. So what I'm going to do is my best to show you what we need to do as a voiceover. So follow me to the bench. I'll show you the tools that we need to get started. All right, here are the tools that you're going to need to grab to complete this job. You'll want to get a lug nut socket and torque wrench if you're going to remove the wheels and put them back on. You'll also want a screwdriver, screw gun, ratchet set, something to get your 7mm socket for the bolts underneath the car, and a T15 Torx bit for the bolts that hold in the wheel liner, and there's one or two under the vehicle as well. Phillips head bit for some of the work behind the bumper. You'll want a panel removal tool to assist in pulling off the OEM rear lower diffuser valance piece. You may want to use a right angle socket if you have a trouble getting to one of the bolts underneath the car. A set of needle nose pliers and a panel removal tool will help with removing some of the clips that are bolted into or snapped into the rear bumper. And this will help remove the metal pieces that hold part of the structural plastic into the rear bumper. Also have a 1/2-inch drive ratchet gun to loosen up the wheels. And that's it. Let's get started. Now, the first thing that we want to do here is remove the wheels. This will make it a whole lot easier to get to all of the bolts and screws that we need to get the rear fender liner off so that we have access to the additional screws that are behind the bumper. Now that we have the wheels off, there are several T15 screws that hold this rear fender liner in. We don't need to remove the entire fender liner. All we need to do is make sure that we get the back half of the fender liner removed, and then there's a natural split where you'll be able to pull it away, fold it over the brake and suspension, and then we'll do the same on the other side. There is one more T15 underneath the car, and then there are several 7mm screws that we need to get out as well. I was having trouble getting to this one over here by the exhaust, so I grabbed a right angle and got that out with the right angle piece. Now that that's out, we'll go do the same on the other side. We have all of the bolts out on the rear fender, and underneath there are also these two 7mm bolts at the center of the car near the exhaust suitcase on an OEM exhaust, or if you have any aftermarket exhaust, that doesn't matter, they're still there. Okay, now that we have everything loosened up, we can start peeling this fender liner back and away from the rear bumper and rear quarter panel. And as you can see here, there's a natural split. You can kind of fold it up and over the brake components and suspension so that you can get to the one remaining 7mm bolt that holds the rear bumper to the body panel. One of the things that you'll notice is that all of the other 7mm bolts are a little bit longer. The one 7mm bolt that holds the bumper to the body panel is shorter than the rest. So let's go to the other side. We'll do the same thing. Now there are two harnesses that you want to disconnect here at the rear bumper, but as you'll see later in the video, you'll actually want to wait to do this until you've popped the trunk, or at least pop the trunk first before you disconnect these, so that you have better access to removing the rear bumper. These have the little red locking tabs that can be a pain. You just pull them down, and then using your fingers, or you might need a small flat blade screwdriver to kind of push that and pull those two harnesses apart. On the passenger side of the vehicle, there is a coaxial cable. This is for the rear backup camera that's built into the rear bumper. I'm not gonna lie, this thing is a total pain in the ass to remove. You'll definitely want that small flat blade screwdriver to help pull this thing off. Once you get that off, the rear bumper is ready to come off. This is the part where I tried to open the rear bumper and couldn't because I had already removed those harnesses. I'm going to leave this in here because it's kind of funny, but you'll definitely want to pop the trunk open first and then undo those harnesses. So go ahead, pop the trunk open, do this ahead of time. It'll save you some extra steps, and then go ahead and make sure you've got those driver's side harnesses disconnected. Once you've done that, you can start pulling at the bumper. Now what you want to do is pull outward. There are plastic clips that hold this together, so you don't want to be too aggressive with it. You want to give it some flex. You can see here I'm just kind of essentially massaging the bumper out, if you will. I get a hand in there, and you'll eventually feel them pop just like that. Then you're going to do the same thing on the other side. It helps to have a second person. Obviously, I didn't have one here. There is a potential that your bumper could drop at this point. Just be cautious when you're doing this so that the bumper doesn't fall. But there is one more part that holds it together, and that's right at the center, right where, right above your license plate, if you will, where you pull straight out. So you'll see I've got both the sides out, and then you have the center section that you can pull kind of like up and out. So that's what I'll be doing here. Now that I've got it free from the vehicle, I'm going to set it down on this moving blanket so I don't scratch it up. And then I'm going to go ahead and set it on a table, and I'll work on the table, and here it is. All right, now that we have the bumper on the table, you can see the plastic clips that kind of hold the rear diffuser onto the OEM bumper. They just need some encouragement to come off. You want to do it gently though. You don't want to risk breaking the tabs on the OEM bumper, because then you'll have to essentially super glue everything back together. So here I'm using that panel popper tool to kind of separate these. There are a couple of Phillips head screwdrivers that hold this together, and then that rear center bumper section has 4 metal clips essentially that help hold that rear diffuser onto the bumper. I'm just continuing to massage those plastic clips that hold everything together apart here. Again, this isn't something that you want to do too aggressively or rush through, because you could end up breaking the plastic clips on the OEM bumper, and then you'll have nothing to hold your new diffuser on with. You can see those 4 silver clips in this shot here. We can speed through a lot of this here, but here you'll see me removing the metal clips that hold that center section of the bumper on. Again, it's not easy, so I grabbed a metal panel removal tool to get those off. There's the two outside ones, there's two inside ones, and fun fact, if you don't hold your hand over them as you're trying to remove them, you will yeet them into the atmosphere. Luckily, I was able to find where this one went. I'm going to speed up the video here just because nobody wants to watch this. It's all the same type of stuff, just trying to get this off. And then once you have that center section out, you can more easily get to the center pieces that hold the rear diffuser onto the bumper. All right, now we're ready to install the new rear diffuser. All you need to do is the reverse steps of what you had done. You're just going to go ahead and line up the tabs to the OEM bumper. Make sure you're popping them back in. And then once you have that center section down, you can place that rear center support on the rear bumper back onto the bumper itself and put those silver clips back onto that rear center section, which will help keep the rear diffuser in place as you work on getting the side pieces back on. Now that we have the rear OEM diffuser off, you want to make sure you take the two reflective lenses and transfer them over to the new diffuser that you're putting on. Okay, last step is getting that rear bumper back on the car. Easiest way to do this is line up that center section. Make sure you're lifting the top of the bumper over the little brace to get them in between the headlights. You'll see a little notch. It's kind of hard to show on camera, but there's a little tiny notch that kind of slides underneath the rear tail lights to make it easier to line up. You can see here I was struggling with that a bit, but then once you get that center section popped in, you can get that in and then work on snapping the sides of the bumper back on. It's again nice to have a second person here so that when I inevitably drop this thing, like you're gonna see there, you have a second set of hands to grab on and hold on to the other side to make it easier. I didn't have that available, so here we go. The struggle was real, but I eventually got this hooked back on. And from there, we went ahead and started reassembling everything. Essentially the reverse order of what we did to remove the rear bumper. There you go, there you have it, we're all set. We went ahead and changed out the rear diffuser on the Camaro. We've got the new IKON Motorsports rear diffuser on. And again, this modification was purely cosmetic. 0 to no performance gain here that you'll see, other than, in my personal opinion, this one looks a little cooler than the OEM one. So until next time, till the next project, we'll see you then.